The year is 1571. Queen Elizabeth I reigns throughout England, but all is not well in her kingdom. Weymouth and Malcombe Regis are locked in a bitter feud going back generations. From the earliest of times, these two settlements were obliged to share the waters between them. These waters provided both towns with a steady income from shipping and fishing. Unfortunately, disputes soon arose who received the profits from this lucrative stretch of water. By the 1570s, things had come to a head. The disputes had become so bad that regular petitions were sent directly to the Queen and her privy councillors. Eventually, the Crown had enough of this, and thus in June of 1571, an Act of Parliament was passed, legally combining the two towns into one borough.
I hate you.
Here for the money!
We make wine. You get to play. We make bad wine.
It's an easy jumpers!
Our jumpers are good. I knew someone.
Her Majesty the Queen commands you to attend her at the Guildhall.
I speak to the Queen. She is so tired of receiving your hate mail. You are both important, and you should come together and form a new town, one of peace and prosperity, of wine and wool. A great future is ahead, and you should be called Weymouth.
There's a lot!
We win.
Ain't no win.
Both sides did come together eventually. All it took was a massive construction project to build the first bridge across the River Wey. Maybe that's where the phrase building bridges comes from, though for legal reasons this may not be the case. The year is 1588. The Spanish Armada has set sail from Spain, intent on overthrowing Queen Elizabeth I and restoring the Catholic succession to England. As we speak, a fierce battle has taken place off the coast of the island of Portland. One ship, the San Salvador, has been captured and brought into Weymouth Bay.
An event in Weymouth! Good, lad,
I only have it with a list from my desk.
Protocol!
Round the chest.
That looks important. Take it to the museum. There'll be a history of big civic.
This is alright! Is seeking!
Oh, this.
Pull the plug out. Everyone abandon ship quickly.
Right!
In 1588, the San Salvador sank in Weymouth Bay. To this day, we do not know why. When researching this film, we did find the locals uncooperative when discussing this historic event.
Right!
1642. War has come to Weymouth, and the parliamentarians have occupied the town. However, change is on the horizon. In early 1645, Royalists arrive in Old Weymouth and attempt to occupy the land. They are approaching Malcombe Regis from the north and start to fight the parliamentarians in their way. The town underwent a severe bombardment during the Battle of Weymouth. However, by early March, the Royalists were defeated and driven away. Cromwell got his parliamentary state, but not for long. After the puritanical reign of Oliver Cromwell and the inadequacy of his successor and son, Richard, the English protectorate collapsed. The crown was restored under King Charles II. Due to the economic damage that Weymouth had sustained during the English Civil War, King Charles donated £100 out of the custom revenues to clean the harbour, repair the town bridge and pier. The siege of Weymouth and the English Civil War in general brought business to an economic standstill throughout the town, and initiated a long economic decline, which would last for almost 150 years.
The year is 1789. King George III sits on the throne. It's not been long since his mind began to fail him and caused a constitutional crisis at the heart of government. With the country waiting to find out his fate, King George made a partial recovery and, acting on the advice of his doctors, decided to visit the town of Weymouth, which had undergone a steep decline due to the English Civil War. George intends to take in the air and bathe in Weymouth Bay. As you can imagine, the locals were very excited about this.
Look, it's the king. Oh, is it Tony? So this is amazing. So they feel better. Everyone. Thank you, Weymouth.
George III did indeed visit again. In fact, he visited Weymouth 14 times in the next 16 years. His visits transformed Weymouth from the small declining town to a thriving seaside resort. And to this day, people travel to Weymouth by road and rail for seaside fun, rest and recovery. King George III's legacy includes the King statue, the White Horse, and the Georgian seafront.
Weymouth's first significant contribution to World War II was in 1940 during the evacuation of Dunkirk. Many local fishing boats traversed the English Channel to help rescue the British expeditionary force that was retreating from France. Now the year is 1944. It's the 6th of June and US soldiers have gathered on the harbour side to make their way to Omaha Beach. The enormous coordinated effort in Normandy is codenamed Overlord. With this operation, it is hoped that Nazi tyranny will be driven from Europe. Sadly, the boats that went from Weymouth to Omaha Beach saw some of the worst fighting, and not everyone would make it back. Of the 156,000 Allied soldiers who took part in the operation, over 10,000 would not return and are buried in Normandy. In preparation for such a momentous operation, General Eisenhower makes a speech to soldiers from the UK, North America, Australia, and the Free Armies of Europe.
Quiet everyone, I sometimes on radio.
Soldiers, sailors and airmen,
of the Allied Expeditionary Force. You are about to embark upon the great crusade toward which we have striven these many months. The eyes of the world are upon you. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. In company with our brave allies and brothers in arms on other fronts, you will bring about the destruction of the German war machine, the elimination of Nazi tyranny over the oppressed peoples of Europe, and security for ourselves in a free world. Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened. He will fight savagely. But this is the year 1944. Much has happened since the Nazi triumphs of 1940-41. The United Nations have inflicted upon the Germans great defeats in open battle, man to man. Our air offensive has seriously reduced their strength in the air and their capacity to wage war on the ground. Our home fronts have given us an overwhelming superiority in weapons and munitions of war, and placed at our disposal great reserves of trained fighting men. The tide has turned. The free men of the world are marching together to victory. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory. Good luck, and let us all beseech the blessing of Almighty God upon this great and noble undertaking.